Protest banners had long been used to attract public attention to a political cause. By the turn of the 20th century, the women's suffrage movement started to use banners as part of their campaign to demand the vote. As suffrage historian Elizabeth Crawford explains.
Suffrage banners had probably been used in the 1880s when there had been grand demonstrations, as they were called, in the major cities. But the 1906 march in February was the first where women had actually moved through the streets carrying their banners. Annie Kenney organised a large meeting, I think 300 or so women to come from the East End. They came with their babes in arms on the tube to St James's Park station, and then they walked carrying banners, and they looked like just strips of white calico with Votes for Women painted on them.
The following year, Mary Lowndes founded the Artists' Suffrage League, a group of craftswomen and artists who made it their mission to promote the suffrage cause by designing an army of elaborate and beautiful banners.
The Artists' Suffrage League was set up in order to create propaganda, really, for the women's suffrage movement, and they created the banners, but also posters and postcards, and were dressing occasions of one kind and another over the whole length of the suffrage campaign, really, up until the First World War. Mary Lowndes not only created the banners, but she wrote a manifesto called Banners and Banner Making, explaining why banners were important, and then with lots of practical details about how the best way would be to create a banner that would attract attention.
Can we make the banner ourselves? Is a question often asked by the inexperienced. If you want a new pair of winter curtains, can you make them yourself, so that they shall hang straight and true and the linings not be puckered? If you can, I think you can make the banner.
Women's domestic skills, that was central to their whole position in society. It was very satisfactory, really, that women should create these banners to demonstrate not only their skill with the needle, but their desire for the vote, that the two weren't incompatible.
The Artists' Suffrage League set to work creating an army of beautiful banners, many of which were designed as the centrepiece for the first of a new style of spectacular procession to be staged in London in June 1908.
Artists and embroiderers and needlewomen and painters started working on these banners as early as January 1908. The idea was to create a medieval pageant, a field of chivalry, of glamour, so they would look beautiful and they would be morally uplifting. We're very lucky that so many of the banners have survived, and we can see them now, held particularly in the Women's Library at the London School of Economics and also in the Museum of London. The designers of the banners drew their inspiration from a range of sources. One was to show what a wide range of places around the country supported women's suffrage, so they made a big play of the names of towns. And Mary Lowndes was very keen on using heraldic devices, so the town's coat of arms.
Textile conservator Kate Gill.
This banner is quite unusual in that the letters and the windmill are pieces of paper which have been adhered to the cotton background. It makes a really powerful design because the edges are very crisp. So it's a very, very simple technique. It has the classic colours from the movement. You have got the green and the purple and the white cream. This would probably have been more white when it was new, and it's just oxidised, so now it looks more brown.
The next kind of banner was one that commemorated heroines of the past. So they might be saints, or they were maiden warriors like Joan of Arc, or great queens, Queen Elizabeth, and suffrage pioneers such as Lydia Becker, who'd been a mainstay of the 19th century suffrage campaign.
This is a particular beautiful banner, very simple design, very effective, so you can see it from a distance when it would have been processed. Over in this area here, where the names of the early women of the suffrage movement are listed, that has been done with paint, a paintbrush. And if you look closely, you can see some of the pencil lines where they had initially marked out where they were going to put the letters. And then that has just been, in this case, painted freehand directly onto a panel of silk. The other lovely addition, embellishment to this banner are these beautiful moire silk ribbons on either side. So when the banner was processed, they would have floated in the breeze. So it was an extremely striking banner.
A banner is a thing to float in the wind, to flicker in the breeze, to flirt its colours for your pleasure.
There were also the banners that represented the different suffrage societies, because these had really grown apace from just the two main societies, say the NUWSS and the WSPU. The NUWSS had federated to it a whole range of other societies representing professions. There would be gymnasts and gardeners and civil servants and shorthand writers, and then the artists and musicians. So they all had their own banners.
Here we have another interesting banner. This one's got a lot of embroidery, and it has some very elaborate heavy tassels on the bottom corners and a silk fringe braid.
The processions were really spectacular. The idea was to draw in the public so that it was something they really wanted to see and admire.
It took a little time to get brave enough to walk in the procession to Hyde Park. And in those days it was considered terrific to walk in a procession. All the men would call out to you, go home and cook your old man's supper, you see, or go home and mind the baby, you see, and treat you as if you were a dirt, really. And how could we presume to imagine that we were fit to have a vote?
It was seen as a great honour to help carry a banner, as Kate Fry described in her diary, after the first of two huge London processions held in June 1908.
I think it was only right a Fry should be the banner bearer for North Kensington, and I loved to do it and felt very proud. The crowds and the excitement, and I had my flapping coat and the wind was terrific. Someone very kindly carried my coat, and I got the frogging fixed around the banner more comfortably. Mine was fearfully heavy, especially in the wind. It was a beauty. Nuage cloth, brown and yellow silk, and cloth of gold. We were about 10,000, with 70 Artist League banners. Lots of others and hundreds of bannerets shimmering in the wind.
In July 1913, Marjorie Lees recalled her pilgrimage to London with the Oldham Suffrage Society's banner.
In due time, we set off and carried the banner with the Oldham coat of arms, which was much admired, and was sometimes greeted with, "Here come the Oldham ladies!" It was a fine sight to see the processions coming in from different points.
The processions were designed to give the suffrage movement a sense of medieval pageantry, to challenge negative views in the press.
The linking of banners with chivalry and with aspiring aphorisms on them, just generally showing that women weren't just the shrieking sisterhood that the suffragettes were often painted by the press.
The beauty of the needlework should convince the most sceptical that it is possible for a woman to use a needle even when she is also wanting a vote.
Not only did the suffrage banners make the message "Votes for Women" more visible, but the very act of making the banners gave women the chance to come together in companionship to work towards a shared goal.
I think the legacy of the suffrage banners is that as we look at them, we can actually see the work that individual women at the time put into them. It gives you a chance to feel that you're there with them as they stitched away. When the women were making these banners, they didn't know what the immediate outcome was going to be, but they had their hopes. Not only did they provide spectacle for the onlookers on the streets, and also for readers of the newspapers, so it was really promoting the suffrage cause. It brought together women in a solidarity of sisterhood.
Bye.